Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining us today. I'm Tammy Mastroberte, founder of Elevated Existence and publisher and editorial director of Elevated Existence magazine. We are here today to talk with author Keri Nola. She is the author of A Year on Your Path to Growth, and her newest book that we're going to be talking to her about today is 44 Holistic Tips for Peaceful Sleep. She is a licensed mental health coach or counselor, and she's the founder of a Central Florida-based integrative healing center called Path to Growth. So thank you so much for joining us, Keri.
You're so welcome. Thanks for having me, Tammy.
Yes, I'm excited. This topic is such a great topic because I think it hits home with everybody. I think everybody, whether it's a big problem or just you have those nights where you're tossing and turning, it's just something that everybody struggles with at some point. And I've obviously read through the book. I think it's fantastic. There's so many amazing tips. And what I really like about it too is you kind of say in the book, the thing about sleep is that we really actually, a lot of the factors that influence it are in our control. So I think that's awesome, and I think a lot of people may not even realize that there are these different things that they can incorporate that can just make a huge difference. So,
Yes.
so the first question I have really is when it comes to somebody who, so a lot of times they'll try to get to sleep at night and they have like that restful mind and they're thinking about a million things and they just really are trying to center themselves and calm themselves down and go to sleep. So do you have any tips for somebody who really is having trouble even just stopping their mind enough to even relax a little bit and fall asleep peacefully?
Definitely. And what I tell people is one of the good things to do is to create the goal being relaxation rather than sleep, because if we can be mindful of our practices that generate relaxing feelings throughout the day, then we're more prepared for sleep when it's bedtime and we're in that position.
Right.
So things like being mindful of your nutrition throughout the day. What kind of things are you putting in your body? Do they resonate with you? Do they help you feel grounded and centered, or are they amping you up? Maybe being mindful of caffeine, carbohydrates, proteins, different things. I'm not set on a particular diet per se, but just really noticing what works for you.
Right.
Also paying attention to the kind of media that you're listening to, reading, watching. There's a lot of violence, fear-based media, and that really gets into our unconscious mind and keeps us anxious and worried and really interferes with our sleep patterns. So those are a couple of practical changes and things that people can do throughout the day to get them into that relaxed and restful place. And then before bedtime, things like taking some moments to do a guided meditation, breathing, progressive muscle relaxation, just things that really help relax the mind, body, and spirit. And I loved what you said at the beginning, that it is really about empowering ourselves, that sleep is not something, most of the factors that affect our sleep are actually within our control. They're not things that are happening to us, but things that if we have a more mindful approach, we can really get that relaxing sleep that we desire.
Right. One of my favorite tips that you offer that I think would even help in that circumstance where you're just trying to kind of calm yourself down is the burden basket. So can you explain a little bit about what that is and how that works?
Sure, that's one of my favorites too. And it's based in actually Native American tradition, the idea of having an external place for us to put our burdens. And so I suggest getting a basket, maybe decorating it, personalizing it a little bit so it has your energy in it, and then choosing some rocks or crystals that are actually going to be holding the burdens that you designate. So before bed, grabbing one of the rocks and just intending to place the burdens that you may have been carrying from throughout the day into that rock and then placing it in the basket to be held while you sleep. And I know it sounds so simple, but it really is about just setting that intention and affirming that we're not going to be taking those burdens to bed with us. And it's something as simple as that that can really bring about some really powerful shifts in our patterns of sleep.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it almost allows us to kind of let it go and release it, put it in that box, and then we don't have to think about it anymore till we get up.
Exactly. And these are tips I've all used myself. I never suggest anything to anyone that I haven't tried with success myself. And the burden basket is one that I use night after night. It's just become part of my bedtime ritual.
Right.
And then at the end of the week, or however you're feeling led to do it, but at the end of the week, I empty the rocks from the basket and use cedar or sage to clear the energy, using the smoke burning cedar or sage, just to kind of clear the rocks and clean them from the burdens of the week, and then have them be ready and prepared to hold whatever comes up in the week ahead.
Great, that's awesome. I love that. That's honestly one of my favorites in the book. Now, you also talk about just the environment things, like you had mentioned watching TV and things like that, but there's a lot of things we can do to kind of prepare our environment for sleep. So what are some things that that you share in the book that you can share with us that are just small changes that we can make that would really actually have an impact on how we sleep at night?
Absolutely. I call this the creating your sacred sleep space ritual. And these are things that don't have to be expensive or time consuming. It can be just as simple as putting things in your room or removing things that don't have you feeling relaxed and calm and peaceful. It's when you walk into your sleep space, you should ask yourself, does this really hold me? Does it comfort me? Does this feel like a sanctuary that I want to rest and relax in? So something like changing a color, the color on your wall or the color of your comforter and bedspread, is it a color that relaxes you or generates, discomfort? How about the decorations you have around your space? Are they things that bring about that peace and calm and have meaning to you as well? Sometimes things are wonderful in our living rooms and kitchen areas, but in our bedroom, they don't necessarily generate the feelings of calm and relaxation that we want to have. And one of the space things that I love to suggest too is using crystal therapy. So crystals like amethyst or clear quartz, for example, they can be placed around the room in the corners or under or around the bed. And these are actually great ways that Mother Nature helps us to ionize low vibration energy and to absorb things in our sleep space energetically that may not help to vibrate at a frequency that's going to promote our relaxation at night.
Right. You know what? Actually, something I've done recently, and I think you mentioned in the book also a little bit about aromatherapy. And
Yeah.
I actually recently got, for our December issue, we picked a bunch of different gift picks, and one of the picks we picked was a aromatherapy diffuser. So I've been using that every night with lavender, and it's amazing. It makes such a difference to me.
Definitely, and the smells, aromatherapy can be a wonderful support, and lavender is a great one. There's also several sleep blends or stress less,
Right.
worry less kind of blends, and so that's a perfect tool for people to use. Even dabbing a little bit on the pillow or the diffuser is wonderful, so I love that.
Awesome. Now, the other thing I think, and I know this doesn't happen to me all the time, luckily, but it does happen to me where and I think people do struggle with it, where they fall asleep just fine, they're sleeping wonderfully, and then all of a sudden 2-3 o'clock comes and they're up in the middle of the night. And so I've read things that say, if you're up for a certain amount of time, just get up and do something, or just get up and read. But is there anything that you've noticed that works for you or your clients, or that you've seen that people can do if they wake up and just cannot get back to sleep and they're just watching that clock?
Sure. I'm so glad you said that. My first suggestion is to not look at the clock. And we're so tempted, right? I actually took the clock out of my room and if I need to wake up with an alarm, I'll use my phone, but I have it, face down, so that, because lights can be very disturbing. It's actually one of the things that can wake us up. If we have any electronics in our room that have flashing lights or any lights, and also our clock. So looking at the clock actually creates more stress for us because we're counting down, right? How much more time do I have until I need to be up? And we start freaking out in preparation for waking up, and that's not really supporting us in getting back to sleep. So my first thing I would say is cover your clock if you can. I know it's difficult, but just give yourself that peace. You're up. It really doesn't matter when you need to be up. That time is going to come the same whether we're sleeping or awake. The other thing I like to tell people is try something that's like physically relaxing, closing the eyes, taking some nice relaxing breaths, maybe using something like progressive muscle relaxation, which I didn't create, but it's a great tool.
Right.
And that's when you tense and relax muscles from head to toe or from the feet up to the head, and notice where you're holding any tension or stress. Because a lot of times we can be disturbed by a dream state and we're not really consciously aware of it, but we need to bring that physical relaxation back into our existence. And If we're noticing that there is something on our mind that's bothersome, one of the things you can do is keep a piece of paper by your bed and just jot down words or fragments or feelings. I call that the brain dump. Just
Mm-hmm.
having a dumping ground for those things that are looping in our mind so that your brain and body knows that when you wake up, those things will be there to be tended to, but that you don't have to keep holding on to them, keeping you from sleep.
Awesome. Well, the other thing that I really like about a lot of the tips that you offer is you seem to infuse intentions into them. So there's a lot of things about setting intentions, or you even talk about taking an intentional shower. So how does intention or putting intentions into our sleep help us in the long run?
Sure, I think it's one of the most empowering tools using it, knowing what we're intending to have happen. And oftentimes we don't want to have a restless night's sleep, but we end up affirming that by the way that we talk about our sleep patterns and really continue to bring that to our reality. So I suggest for people to get really clear, what do you want to have happen during your sleep time? Is it that you want to fall asleep with ease or stay asleep deeply and comfortably? Is it, that you want to feel relaxed in preparation for bedtime? So just get clear about that and then choose a statement that resonates with you that you might start gently repeating in your mind as you brush your teeth and put on your sleep clothes. And the other thing about intentions and affirmations, I know I've written about it in my blogs on elevated existence actually, is that using affirmations that meet you where you are. So let's say, for example, you haven't had a good night's sleep in months. You're not going to start with an affirmation that says, I sleep peacefully,
Right.
because your brain is going to say, no, you don't. That's not true.
Right.
You don't want to create more internal conflict. You want to meet yourself where you are. So if you've been struggling with sleep, maybe you would start out with an affirmation or an intention like, I'm willing to welcome more peaceful sleep. So you start creating that space for a change, for something new to have happen. I find that really valuable as well. And the intentional shower or intentional bath, in the morning, I take a shower and prepare myself for the day. And it may be intentional in some regard, but it's about cleaning and cleansing more physically. At night, my shower is more almost like a sacred experience where I envision all of the things I've collected, the energies, the thoughts, the feelings, the experiences, and I envision all of that just being washed away and going down the drain so that I'm not taking that into my sleep time. And that
Mm-hmm.
can be really powerful. A nighttime shower or some type of cleansing ritual is not only good for physical cleansing, but fantastic for energetic cleansing as well.
Oh wow, that's awesome. Well, I have to just let everybody know that your book is available currently for $2.99 in on Amazon.com and through Kindle, and it's soon to be available in paperback as well.
Right?
And you are one of our favorite bloggers on Elevated Existence, and you actually did a few blogs for us on sleep that we combined, and it's going to be one of our main features in the upcoming March issue. So people can stay tuned for that and get some more from you and more information from you on sleep, and definitely check out the book. And I thank you so much for joining us. I think this is going to help a lot of people. Like I said, it's a great topic, and we wish you well. And maybe we'll do this again sometime.
Thank you so much for having me. Sweet dreams, everybody.
You're welcome. Thank you. Bye, everyone.